The bulls better start keeping their money in their pants, because the only way they're going to see a rise in their portfolios is if they start playing with their assets.
I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no love. Yeah.
We're skipping into this week with a very bearish weekly report. And what I'm expecting is a continuation in the sell-off of tech and a continuation to the upside for our 10-year uranium bull market. Now, the one thing you need to be aware of before we even get into the plays is all the data coming out this week, okay? The market's actually priced in about a 100-point move on the SPIX, so there's probably going to be a lot of volatility this week. So you have your core CPI, you also have your initial jobless claims, PPI is going to be significant as well. So make sure you have that all in your mind and have these times when this is going to drop. A lot of this is right at the market open. So be aware that there's going to be a lot of volatility right when the market opens, and maybe let the first 15 minutes play out before you snag those positions. Okay, now let's take a look at the market. So SPY is the first thing that I've been really keeping an eye on. I will say that this head and shoulders here is like a 6 out of 10. It's not the cleanest setup, but we do have a very clear W set up here as well, where I would kind of expect a continuation to the downside with the market closing on Friday at the 100-day moving average. Let me move my cam out of the way here. And so this makes me extremely bearish. There's a lot of things going on both geopolitically, both across the pond in Europe and also in Asia, and everyone thinks that Trump's going to enter office and like hit a magic button and fix everything, when a lot of his policies that I think he's going to first initiate, as we covered in our yearly prediction video, which got a lot of views. Thank everyone for viewed it and watched it and liked it, left a comment. It was really nice. I worked really hard on it. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you go watch the 2025 prediction video. But that's where my mind's at. Okay. It's not going to go straight down. And keep in mind, there's also earnings next week. So we could get like a short-term bounce. If we do get a substantial bounce, that's when I'll go ahead and just load back into VIX with size again. So like if VIX comes down, pretty much VIX, honestly, if VIX just hits this 17 level I've got marked here, I'll start buying, and then I'll load up with size if we can actually touch around 15. Okay, if we could kind of touch this support area here, I'll load up more size. That's kind of where my mind's at right now. We made really good money. Buying the VIX pretty much every dip so far this year, and I'm going to probably continue to do that, as well as just some straight up shorts on the market. And the one short that I think is really interesting is Tesla here. I think if we break this low at this 373, we should get a pretty quick push down to here. It's like this 356. That's a very strong support range. I'll probably exit the position around 360. And remember, for these weekly plays, they're very dependent on the market environment. Okay, if you're looking for a big move like that, you're going to want some pretty clear signals, clear continuations. You're going to want the relative volume a little bit on the higher side for Tesla to get that extension to the downside. And you're going to want a good alignment with the market as well. So the other thing that I'm watching this week for downside is going to be IonQ. And we've shorted IonQ in recent, very profitable play with Jensen's commentary that we're another 15 years away from quantum. That caused this huge sell-off. As soon as he said that, like the next morning, you just open shorts. After the guy who's leading the AI revolution tells you that this new tech is 15 years away, that is the easiest short on the planet. So we loaded that one up that morning. We caught a bounce, but I'm actually looking for a continuation to see if we can break through this 26 level and maybe get a visit down to 21. Even if we just get down to 26, great money to be made there. Right now, this position's already open for me. It did squeeze me some on Friday. I'm not really worried about it. I'm dated out in February. I think if you are on the longer time frames, it's not really something that I'd be too concerned about, honestly. This is a type of market where I told all our members at the beginning of the month, like, you can pretty much just short this or set up some VIX calls and take a month-long nap, maybe a 2-month-long nap, and be just fine, is my perspective on this market right now. And that dip that you buy, if you buy that dip, it's going to make tons of millionaires. That's the way I'm looking at this market, okay? So many things going wrong. Trump doesn't have a magic button to fix it all. And, I mean, look at the other thing that is notable is DXY, just a rocket ship on the way up. Looks like yields are going to go to 5%. Keep in mind all the even numbers here, the 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are big breakthrough numbers where people start to take an interest in buying bonds. So when that hits 5%, that might be actually the signal to buy some long positions on TLT. It might become appealing then. I tried a TLT position, and then we got the breakthrough. I was pretty quick to cut it, had some pretty minor losses on that, but this will become appealing to me again if we do actually see the 10-year. And I know TLT is on the 10-year. I know it's the 20-year plus. That's not the point. We're talking about sentiment, right? But when we got this breakdown here to the new lows, that was kind of my signal to get out. And it could come all the way back to some of these lows. Actually, that's not even the lows I'm looking for. Let's get a better perspective on the daily chart right here. Yeah, it could come further down to these lows like we saw in 2023. So that's my concern. When I closed that position, you can see this huge gap down. That's pretty much before that is when I got out, seeing the weakness. But if we do get that signal from that yield spike, I'd be willing to say that's probably a top, and then I'll likely put on some long bond positions in anticipation of the fact that I think later in the year we're going to have to cut rates. I think a lot of the inflation fears that people have are not going to come to fruition. They don't really make sense to me. If the economy gets weak, and then we also have the tariff war, as many of the major banks said in their economic projections, and as is easily researchable when we look at the effects of previous tariffs that we've had. It causes an economic drag that usually prevents the inflation spike. So that is what my perspective is right now on the market. There's a lot of other plays. There's even some upside plays and potentials. Oh, speaking of which, like Constellation Energy, which had a great partnership, just got launched. This stock, just every time it breaks out of these downtrends, gets these monster moves. This is also in our long term. It's grown from my fourth largest position in my long term to now the second largest position in my long term. I have no reason to sell here. We can see the dailies just now breaking out. We can go a lot higher in the overbought territory, and we can also see that when we get these big spikes, this thing loves to have continuations. So I want to put it on the watch list. Maybe I can come in with some options if the market gets like bullish and it wants to trend with SPY. This might be one of the names I play to the upside. Just play into that momentum. It's a good way I'm going to look at it. That's going to be it for this week. I hope you found this helpful. It's going to be a really amazing year in 2025. So I hope you all are excited. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'll talk to you all more in the Discord, and God bless.